being successful or creating habits to be successful, it just has to be ingrained. If you're a mortgage broker, if you're a real estate agent, your job is to make sure you are connecting with people on a daily basis.
Why is it important to start the day with? What's up, guys? It's Enrique, PRG Real Estate Broker by EXP. I'm here with my partner,
What's up, guys?
Jason Palomino, sales manager and mortgage broker, Alliance Lending.
Yeah,
right?
a little bit of everything.
We've been working together for a long time now. But today, on today's topic, guys, if you want to take your business to the next level, if you want to consistently grow, consistently produce, you have to create habits that will allow you to be successful. And that's what we're going to talk about today. In our 20 years of business, in us being producers, mentors, coaches, training new agents, you name it, guys, we've been through it all. We have learned a few things on really what it takes to be successful, and also some of the things that can work against you, right?
So, and don't forget being a family, being a family man, right?
Yeah, having kids and all those things, right? There's a lot of moving parts. And so I wanted to just have this open conversation with you, Jason, on, I know we kind of masterminded a little bit before this on what are some of the key habits, and we'll expand a little bit, that will allow someone to have more success in their business and in their life. Right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the first ones we come in my show notes right here, guys. First one is that stands out to me because I've been doing, as we're finishing off this quarter, entering into the last quarter of the year. It's crazy. The year's almost over. I've been doing a lot of one-on-ones with our agents. Yeah. And I'm noticing, there's a lot of common themes, right, with most salespeople. Yeah. And I think one big thing that stands out for me is you got to be intentional, right? Yeah, you got to be intentional with everything you do. And so I want to talk to you about what does being intentional mean to you in business and life. And
I think it also goes back to mindset, right? Having that mindset of with intent of when I choose to do something, I'm going all in, right? I'm going all in. And with being successful or creating habits to be successful, it just has to be ingrained that if I plan on going to the office, I have to have some type of intention of what I'm going to attack, what I'm going to achieve. For me, it's, when I go to the gym, I'm not really social at the gym. I'm in there for an hour, 15 minutes, in and out. That's my intention, is get my workout in. Mm-hmm. When I'm spending time with my kids, I'm intentional spending time with my kids. When I'm out drinking or on vacation, I'm on vacation, intentionally having a good time, letting loose. Yeah. But when I come into the office, I'm really laser focused on what I'm looking to accomplish that day. And it allows me to stay focused to accomplish the things I want with that intent.
I think you hit it. It's whatever you're doing, you need to be in that moment and really be intentional about what you're trying to accomplish, right? And I see so many agents, right, come into the office, not just our office, but I've gone to other offices, and I know a lot of agents, right? It's easy to go to the office and plan or think in your mind, hey, I came to work, but then you look at the clock and it's already the end of the day and you didn't really get a lot done. No. Right? And I think part of that is because you weren't intentional, or you didn't have a plan going in, right? Of I showed up today for a specific reason. I have to check certain things off, and that intent wasn't there. Yeah. Right.
It's important though. Definitely showing up is a big part of it, right? But when you show up, what are you going to do when you show up? Yeah. What is, again, going back to the theme of the intention. What are you intending? What are you intending to do? What are you intending to accomplish? And I think it's important to measure that. It's important to plan that out. Right, to say, hey, when I go to the office, this is what I'm not leaving the office until I execute on these things here.
Let's give some examples of that, right? If you're an agent, right, you're trying to build your business, what's an example of what's a good day, right? That's something we talked about also. How do you know if you had a good day in the office, right? If you don't have a plan or you didn't decide beforehand, right, of what a good day is, how do you know if today was a good day or a bad day, right? Yeah. And so if you were giving advice to an agent, what would you tell them? What are things that they should be doing in that day?
Yeah, I think you really have to understand what your role is, right? If you're a mortgage broker, if you're a real estate agent, your job is to make sure you are connecting with people on a daily basis, right? Whether it's past clients, previous clients you're currently working with. So I think it's important to understand that that's your job, is to connect with people. So for us, what we do in the beginning of the day, we spend a good 30 minutes of role play so that we get warmed up, we get educated, we get a pulse of what's happening in the market, so that when we do connect, we actually can provide value. right? From 9 to 9:30, that's what we're doing. From 9 to 12, we're actually out there trying to connect with clients.
Okay, let's stop there. The role play, right? Why is it important to start the day with role play? Because someone may be watching and they may have some experience. Like, oh, I already know what to say. I already know it. But why do you think even like a seasoned agent should continue to role play?
No, 100%. I mean, it's just like practice, right? Yeah, you may be able to, play the game, but you just don't go out there on game day and play.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the same thing with your clients. You're not just gonna go out there and just wing it on the clients. You actually want to practice, warm up, mastermind within your peers, mastermind within your group so that you're well prepared, right? You're not gonna practice on your client, right? So you want to make sure that you role play it. And what I love about our group is that there's different views of what's happening in the market, different views of how to approach it, and you never know what type of client you're going to get. So with having that view, that look, you're going to be well prepared to service that client at a high level. So that's why I think role play is something that you have to do. It's almost like brushing your teeth. You have to do it.
Yeah,
right?
It's like warming up, right? Like even like as I get older, right? I'm still in the gym. I'm like, it's a lot easier for me to get hurt now, right? I don't know, just getting older, not as loose anymore. And so I spend more time being intentional about warming up before I work out, right? And I think it's kind of the same thing, right? You want to warm up, you want to kick the cobwebs off, you want to get your muscles nice and loose so that when you go and work out and you're trying to hit that really good set or whatever, you're not going to mess up, right? Same thing here, right? Like if you just woke up, your coffee hasn't kicked in or whatever, and now you got to jump on a call with a hot new lead or a referral, and you get stuck. That could be a missed opportunity. Right?
A missed opportunity, and I think the other part of it is if you role play, if you warm up, you become more confident, right? And that confidence, you transfer that over to your client or your team. And that just provides that they believe in you, they trust you. So again, it sounds like a small thing, but like we said before, those small things make the big things happen. And I'm 1,000%, it is a must to definitely warm up, to definitely role play in the morning. And again, that has to come with going back to the theme of intention. A lot of times you may want to push that off, like, oh, I don't need to do that. No, but if you plan it correctly, your day, my intention, the first thing is I'm going to go ahead and warm up. I'm going to go ahead and practice my scripts, get familiar on what's happening, get a pulse on the market. And then the next step is actually contacting people. Right? So I think that's leading into to our theme of intention.
Something like that even comes to my mind is practicing the scripts is one thing, but it's also could be a good habit to go just see what's on the MLS, right? Start knowing what the product is out there, right? So I know a lot of old school agents, they say like, hey, every morning I'm on the MLS and I'm seeing what new listings hit the market. I'm seeing what new listings sold. I'm seeing what new listings what listings had a price drop. So now when I'm out there talking to clients, I have all this information and I'm able to give value, right? Or if you're a lender, you're catching up on what are the rates today, right? What's the market doing, right? Or the news right now, like the Feds just cut the rates. Getting educated on that. That's all part of like the role play and the preparation.
100%.
So that you become more valuable, right? When you're out there talking to the consumer. But once again, that is all intentional, right? Like that is methodical. Like you planned in your mind that I must role play. Because it's going to make me better.
And again, it's only 30 minutes, but you got to understand you are mastering your craft for those 30 minutes. And now those 30 minutes start compounding once you do it every day or 5 days a week. So many days or so many weeks out of the year. So those effects start compounding and you start getting better at it. And now you're creating that habit. Now you're creating that discipline of, it's a non-negotiable. I'm here to go ahead and role play. And I know we're spending some time on it, but I think that's the first way I would start off my day when I get to the office, right? There's obviously things we do prior to the office, but that's definitely one of the first things I would do to measure some success.
Now, what's step 2, right? We prospect in the morning, right? 9 a.m. till about 12 is we block out for prospecting, new sales development, whatever you want to call it. Calling people, following up, trying to get new business development is what we call it. Should there be some intention within those 3 hours, right? Like how would you set up that call session? Is it just like, hey, just call everybody who I can? Or is there actual like being intentional about how you use those 3 hours?
I definitely think, you want to be intentional with that where you have your CRM or whatever system you're using and you're going to be reaching out to new people, new potential clients, and you're also going to be nurturing your past clients, people that may not have been ready to purchase or sell right then and there, but maybe you're following up with them. So I think you're going to definitely break that up into reaching out to new contacts and also nurturing contacts that you already have in your CRM that may need more information, need to get a good idea of what's happening in the market.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think your prospecting session or business development session should be, part of it is follow up.
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
Because you may have like a lead that you got from an open house 6 months ago, and you may have gotten leads from the open house that you just hosted this past weekend. So which one is more valuable?
Yeah.
Right? Is it the guy you spoke to 6 months ago who says, "Hey, I'll be ready to buy in 6 months or 8 months"? Right? If you don't call that guy and you drop the ball on the nurturing, but they may go with somebody else, right? Or these neat leads that you just got from your open house this past week, you got to call them too.
Yeah.
Because now you're starting to build that relationship. So I think follow-up is extremely important, right? Making sure you're blocking out at least an hour to follow up with people that you've already talked to, or people that already know you, like you, and trust you, or people that you're nurturing. And then the other part is calling like all those brand new leads.
Or if you need to get contacts, right?
Yeah.
If you need to go ahead and set up your database, or if you need to go ahead and set up a pipeline, you can go ahead and reach out to new clients.
After call session, okay, so you got the call session, the prospecting session done, right? What's next? What are we doing next?
So for me, what I recommend doing is something, again, it's where you are doing something where you're mastering your craft. I would say, maybe get another 30 minutes of something where you want to better your skill, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you want to get better at the listing presentation. So you're going to practice that. You want to get better at your buyer presentation, so I would focus another 30, 45 minutes on mastering my craft during that time. And then after that, maybe grab some lunch. And then after that, we can go ahead and lead into, hopefully by all that work you've done in the morning, it's led into setting up appointments for either showings, listing appointments, or buyer consultation.
There you go, right? So some sort of training, right? Which we do training twice a week, right? On Tuesdays from 12 to 1, right? 9 to 12 is call session and role play, then call session. Then 12 to 1 on Tuesdays, our sales meeting, right? Which is our chance to hold each other accountable, talk about the market, blah, 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 all these different things that are happening. And then on Thursdays from 12 to 1, we do an actual training on one specific topic where we go really deep in, right? And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that time slot is still open for our agents to do other things that they have to do, right? They can do training on their own, they can catch up, they can work on marketing, work on their business and on their skill set.
Yeah, right? Book a one-on-one with you or I.
Yeah,
right?
We'll do one-on-ones, it's coaching calls and stuff like that.
But I really think it's important to do some type of self-development, some type of business development during that time.
During that time. Okay. Right. After lunch, right? You got lunch or whatever. Now you got the rest of the day, right? Some people are working till 5, 6, 7, whatever you're working, right? Yeah. I always have coached our agents to that's when you service your clients. Yeah. Right? That's when you book your appointments. And I think you even have to be intentional around when you go on appointments. Yeah. Because if you think about it, like if you're trying to build this system that's predictable every single week, just putting random appointments like at different times on different days, it's hard to stick to. Yeah. Right? And so I would say like have your appointment slots already predetermined. Yeah. Right? Like it could be like, okay, I have a 1:30, I have a 3:30, and I have a 5:30. And Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday, whatever your schedule is, those are my appointment slots that I got to fill in, right? Yeah. As much as I can. Yeah. Because like if you're just kind of like asking the clients, well, when are you available? I'm available at 6:45. Yeah. That could throw your whole schedule.
Especially since we have families and again we want it, like you said, a predictable business, but we also got to try and take as much control of it as possible.
Exactly.
Right? I think it's important to understand that.
Yeah. So I think just having intentional time slots on when your appointments are is, if you can, right? It doesn't always work out perfect, but why not try to do it, right? Why not try to have the control over our business, right? Yeah. And then you could plan your other stuff around it, right? Your free time, your family time, whatever else you got to do.
Yeah. And you want to fill in those slots, right? That's going back to how we're going to measure our day, right? So we did our role play. We went and did our call session or our contact session. We went ahead, did some business development, had some lunch. Now the next role is to go ahead and fill in those slots so you have appointments, whether they're consults, whether they're showings, whether you're doing an offer consult where you're writing offers, whatever it may be, but those slots should be filled.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing too is you can fill one of those slots with an appointment that is not for work. Yeah. So say like my doctor appointment, I would book it at one of those times so that it doesn't throw my whole schedule off. Yeah. I see too many agents like trying to book a doctor appointment like during the Tuesday sales meeting.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, well, was that the only time the doctor was available? Right? Or they're booking like a doctor appointment at 10 a.m. on a Monday when that's like when you would be making calls, right? And so it also is in your control on when you book your outside appointments as well, right?
Yeah.
And try to make them fit into the schedule so you don't disrupt this consistent thing that you're trying to build, right? Or maybe have a day like Fridays, we call Thursdays like Realtor Fridays, right? But Friday mornings, like sometimes that maybe in the AM, that could be like when I get my personal stuff done, right? That's when I get my haircuts.
Your car wash.
That's when I get my car wash. That's when I set my doctor appointments because during that time it's a little more relaxed. I'm not necessarily meeting with clients, right?
Or maybe getting prepared. You're going to be getting prepared to do something on Saturday and Sunday.
Prepared for the weekend, for my open house or my showings or whatever I got going on. But you can be intentional about that as well. And so I think like if we just have to boil this all down, it's the being intentional and having that plan in place that you follow. That's what creates the consistency over time.
Yeah.
Right? Because consistency is like going into the next point is
going to be key.
That's the key, right?
For success, 100%.
Now let's talk about consistency, right? Because I think that's the biggest and toughest thing to achieve, right?
Yeah.
And when I coach agents in our organization, outside of our organization, usually I get two kind of groups, right?
Yeah.
I get one group that maybe they're just new and they don't know a lot. So their skill and their knowledge is really low.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, they're not that consistent either.
Yeah.
Right? And so you got those two things kind of working against you where you don't know a lot, your skills aren't there yet because maybe you're newer, but then you're also not doing it enough to build those skills because you're not consistent and you're not following a plan.
Yeah.
Right? And that's usually like one group, right? Where they're struggling because of that. The other group is usually, I know what to say, I know how to do it, I have the knowledge, I have the skill, I've been doing this for a while, but I'm not consistent.
Yep.
Right? But if you put me in front of somebody, like I know what I'm talking about, right? And so I think to be more consistent, it's following the whole plan that we just talked about, right? Like all that leads to consistency.
But it boils down to mindset, Enrique. It really, for me, it's you can put the plan out there, which you definitely have to have the plan, right? You have to have the schedule, but I think since we're self-employed, there's no one really calling you, checking in on you, right? That accountability of if you worked at a 9 to 5, you would have some type of accountability to that position. Here, it's even more accountable. You're accountable to yourself, right? But you have to take that mindset of, hey, listen, I planned out my day. This is what it's going to take to be a successful real estate or loan officer, and so now that I know the plan. Now I got to make that contract with myself saying, okay, now I'm going to go ahead and execute on this plan. I'm going to be consistent. And it's a mindset because what's going to happen? You're going to wake up and be like, you're going to want to pull the covers over your head and just kind of like, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. No, you got to get your butt up and you got to get out there, man, and just do the work, and I think it really, if you get in this industry, you have to have that tough conversation with yourself and say, hey, listen, I spoke with Jason, I spoke with Enrique, or I spoke with my mentor. They're telling me this is what has to happen. Okay, to have success, I have to have this plan and I got to be consistent.
Yeah.
So now you got to make that decision whether you're going to, go all in on that.
You hit it on the head. You said something, accountability, right? Accountability does come into that. There's self-accountability, right? Which is that's a journey, right? That everyone's trying to master, right? Yeah. But then there's also accountability that you can create externally as well.
Yeah.
Right? And like I think for me, one of the things that has helped me stay disciplined and keep myself accountable is that I have a team and a group that I got to hold myself accountable to.
Absolutely.
Right? So putting yourself in an environment and kind of setting up your life in a way where there's things outside of you that keep you responsible and keep you accountable.
Yeah.
Right? Because like if I didn't have to come in here and host our Tuesday meeting and our Thursday meeting, it would be a lot easier for me to just find reasons to
work
slack
from
off
home
or work from home. Like after 20 years, of doing this, I've built discipline, right? But if I'm thinking of me as a new agent, if I didn't have anybody to report to, right? Coach, mentor, team, organization, someone else to report to. It's a lot easier to let myself down than to let somebody else down, right?
Yeah.
And so by you putting those things in place, it's like you play this game with yourself, right? And that's going to allow you to stay more accountable. Because there's days I do not feel like coming.
No,
right?
And I think everyone's like that. I don't, it doesn't matter what level you've reached, right? Whether you're brand new or you've been doing this for years. I think in anything, I don't think I've met anyone that is, 100%. They always just, oh yeah, I'm so excited every single day. No, we're humans. We're gonna have those days.
Yeah.
But those are the days when you have those days, when you want to pull those covers over your head. Those are the days that you gotta dig deep and get out there, man.
Yeah.
Those are the days that count. It's easy to go to work when you want to, right? When you feel like it. But the hard days, the days where you're gonna gain inches, the days that you are gonna be able to compete at a high level and gain traction are the days that you don't want to. And those are the days you got to put.
Yeah. And I talked about that before on some other videos, because I think when you show up on days that you don't feel like it, what you're doing in your mind is you are proving to yourself that you can do hard things, right?
100%, absolutely.
You are proving to yourself that, hey, even if I don't feel like it, I can still show up regardless of how I feel. And that is where you build grit, right? And that's 100%. Where you build discipline over time, 100%. Right? And that becomes a habit, right? There's good habits and bad habits.
Oh yeah,
we all know that, right?
Definitely.
You can create habits that serve you and help you achieve a greater life, in all areas. And you can also create the habit of like, hey, when things are hard, I back away.
Yeah.
That's also a habit that you can create, right?
Yeah.
Which is not, things are always going to be hard, right?
Yeah, things are part of life. It's never going to be easy. Yeah. And I think having that expectation like, don't think it's gonna be easy, guys. Like I think that goes back to mindset. It's like, no, Jason, I already know that you're not gonna want to wake up at 5:30 and go for the run, but you made this commitment, and so when those times come up, it's all in the mind, and everybody wants that magic bullet or that magic trick. It's not there, man. It's within you to go after it and put in that work and decide whether you're gonna be consistent or not.
Yeah, right? I think you hit it there. You got to decide, right?
Got to decide, man.
It's a decision. Okay, last one, because I think if you don't measure what you're doing, or if you don't have like a score card to keep, right? Like you could do all the things we talked about, and those are going to get you so far, and those are great, right? Those will build those habits of success. But I think one thing that also comes into play is you need to track or you need to measure.
Yeah.
Right? And it could be as simple as measuring what a good day was.
Yeah.
Measuring, having some sort of goals for the week, whether that's, in your personal life, in your business. But we had this one document that we were using for a while, and I think we got to bring this back out.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation with one of the agents on my team is, hey, I see you in here. I see you putting in the work, right? Like you show up every day, but like, how do you know if you had a good day? And I asked him, and he was like, well, I try to get 20 contacts. I'm like, okay, so is that the only thing, right? Is it just 20 contacts, whether they were good contacts, bad contacts? It's a start, right?
Yeah,
but I was trying to challenge him to like, well, what are other things that you can put into your scorecard, so to say, that if you check all these off, that was a great, solid, productive day.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. No, I love it, Kike, Enrique, because I think it boils down to you got to reverse engineer it.
Yeah.
Right. You really got to see, what do you want at the end? What do you want you can break it down to what do you want at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, end of the year. But I think really breaking that down is probably the first thing I would say to measuring anything. Is like, okay, we work with the end result and then work backwards. Right?
Yeah.
Reverse that out. And so I think, depending on what level you are and what your expectation is, those things may look different for certain agents, right? Some agents that want to make $100,000, those numbers that you're trying to reach may be different than someone that's trying to make $500,000.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the first thing as an agent, is really understand that, right? Because we've been doing this for a while, and we have agents from all walks of life, meaning agents that are brand new, they have no kids, no wife, and they can work 80, 90 hours a week, no problem, right?
Yeah.
And it's different if you have someone that, hey, maybe they're a little older, they have a wife, they have kids, where they have other things on their plate. So those measuring is going to determine, when you're measuring it, you have to decide on what kind of work you're willing to put into, what are you going to be consistent with and be disciplined with, and understand what your end goal is, and reverse engineer and sit down with your mentor so you know what numbers to track, right? Again, I mean, we can go into some detail of what we think is important, but I think the first thing is figure out what your end goal, what do you want that to look like?
Yeah, right? I like to look at it from two angles. I like to look at it as strictly the business stuff, right? Which a lot of realtors and agents are watching this. And so it could be like, hey, how many calls did I make?
Yeah.
How many people did I contact? It could be like, how many appointments did I set? How many did I meet with?
Yeah.
Right? How many escrows did I sign or close? Right? Basically tracking all the different activities that are going to add up to closing the deals, right? And even tying that to your income. So for example, let's say you wanted to make $150,000 this year in net income. Well, you could quickly do the math and you could say, if I want to make 150 after my commission splits with my broker, okay, then how much gross income would I need to bring in?
Yeah.
And then based off my average deal, how many deals would I need to close?
Exactly.
And to close one deal, how many clients would I need to meet face to face with, right? Because I know if maybe I'm not as good, so I like 1 out of every 4 I can close, right?
Yeah.
I'm at a 25% conversion rate. So that means if I want to meet with 4 clients every single month to close one deal, well then how many appointments do I have to set?
Exactly.
Because not all clients are going to show up to the appointment, right?
Exactly.
So you can start like reverse engineering, and then you could boil that down to what do I have to do every single day, right? To stay in line with that. And then it just becomes a simple math equation, right?
And then you can really grade your day, right? Because again, you know what you want, and then now you put those into daily habits, and then you got to go back to the other theme we had, which was being disciplined. Now you know the rules. You basically have the plan, you know the rules, you know what you have to do. Now it's just going out there and doing it.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think it's definitely, you want to measure, and we measure a few things here, right? We measure, how many set appointments, how many met appointments, how many agreements signed, how many went into escrow, and how many we've closed.
Yeah.
Right. So that's definitely,
and even on the organization level, how many agents are on our team, average production per agent, right? Profitability, how much we're paying in taxes, all these different things, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And so it's scales, even as you move up the ladder. Whether you're a new agent, a team leader, or running a big organization, there's all these things that you have to measure to see if you're on track to hit your goals, right?
And then it becomes more predictable once you track it, right? You know where to pull back, where to add. We also track lead sources, right? What lead sources are providing the best opportunity for our team?
Yeah.
Which is, on the management side, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, something we even talked about in our training this past week was, with these whole new NAR stuff, and we're talking about commissions, but also tracking like how much commission are you earning per deal?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you want to give yourself a pay raise, you can charge more, right?
Yeah.
Like if your value is more, you can go and charge more, right? So if you're averaging a 2% on every buyer and seller you work with, well, what if you figured out a way to get that to 2.5%?
Yeah. Or even 2.25%.
Or 2.25%, right? It
There's
could be
no
that
rules
small, right? But that compounds over X amount of deals, over X amount of years. And so the point we're trying to make is there always has to be some sort of scorecard, right? And it could be elaborate, or it could just be very simple to start off with. And that goes back to going into intention and then having a way that you track and measure it.
Yeah, right? I think that's important. And I think the other thing too is, from doing this for a while, is that you may not hit it 100%. You may not be consistent 100%. You may not hit your number 100% of the time, right? But I think you have to be okay with that, and you got to get up, dust yourself off, and attack the next day, right? It's you don't want to dwell on, I didn't hit it this day, so I'm going to take 2 days off, or no, you got to dust yourself off and say, okay, cool, I missed it here, but let me go play that game again. Let me go back at it again.
Yeah, not every day is the best day.
No,
right? It's not realistic.
Not at all.
Okay, I think we hit this, man. There was a lot of things right here that people could take away. Once again, guys, if you want to have success in your business and your life, all of these rules apply. Right? These are the habits to create success. I hope you guys got some value out of this. If you need any help with your business, if you need help implementing this stuff, right? Whether you're on a different brokerage or whether you want to explore what our team looks like, our organization, doesn't matter. We're here to help.
Definitely.
And so you can always reach out to us, DM us, send us a message wherever you see this.
Yeah.
You could even book a free coaching call, and Jason or myself will jump on the line 100%. With you. And we're glad to just be open,
show you
what we're doing, right?
Exactly.
And give you some ideas of how to implement this stuff on your own right now.
Yeah.
So you can go to meetenrique.com and you could book a one-on-one, and Jason or myself will be able to talk to you. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.